Hi, I'm Peter Travers, and this is Popcorn, where we tell you what's happening at the movies. And a major happening right now, and a dramatic one, is Black Swan, a movie about what goes on behind the scenes at the ballet. Mila Kunis, who co-stars in Black Swan with Natalie Portman, will be with us in just a second to tell us, or to reveal even, a lot of the mysteries behind this movie. But right now, let's take a peek at Mila Kunis in Black Swan.
Well, good of you to join us.
Sorry.
Girls, this is Lily. Straight off the plane from San Francisco. She's filling Rebecca's old spot.
Hey.
Get warmed up.
No, it's okay. I'm good. Should I go again?
No, thanks, Ina. I've seen enough.
Okay. Veronica, the White Swan variation. Come on, please.
Mila Kunis, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. Would you get up now and do some ballet?
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I could almost imagine. We should say, though, for people who are just out there having no idea what Black Swan is and what you're doing in it.
Yeah.
So please tell us, who are you in Black Swan? Who is this Lily person that you're playing?
Lily is a ballerina who joins the company and out of San Francisco comes to New York and becomes kind of the driven force between Natalie's character's breakdown. I guess she could be viewed as like a rival. But that's a perception.
You went straight to the breakdown. It was really quick, you know? Yes, well, I'll do some explaining then, since you won't do it.
You go ahead.
I'm just going to do a little bit to say that Natalie Portman really wants to play Swan Lake.
Yes.
And yet the artistic director, played by Vincent Cassel, says, you can do the White Swan good, but you can't do the Black Swan. You don't seem to have that sexuality, that rawness that's required. Yeah. But what really happened when somebody tells you that you're going to play a ballet dancer?
What happens?
Yeah.
I think the beauty of doing what I do is there's a massive aspect of naivete where you feel like you could do everything and you don't know otherwise. So the reality was I was like, yeah, I can be a ballerina, no problem. Like, give me a couple training, like, I'll be fine. Well, first day I walked into the studio, I was sorely disappointed. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I think, I got the part on like a Wednesday, and a Thursday I went into the ballet studio. And I was like, this will be fine. Like, I have 3 months to train. I'll figure this out. I walk into the studio, and I realized that I can't dance to save my life. The dancing that I did when I was 10 was not quite passable to the age of 26. So, as adorable as I looked in a tutu and my pink slippers when I was 10, didn't quite translate.
So were you and Natalie watching each other, being competitive? Were you saying, oh, she's like, oh, God.
Natalie and I, the great thing is I think we were really great friends before production started. But I think it caused a problem to Darren. Darren was really concerned that Nat's and my relationship and friendship would somehow interfere. So he tried desperately to pin us against each other.
Good for him.
Oh, yeah, he tried.
That's old school directing.
He slightly failed, but he tried. He would text Nat and be like, Mila's doing really great and at her dance rehearsals, just letting you know. And he'd text me and be like, Nat's doing really great at her dance rehearsals. And I would text Nat back and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And she would do the same back. So it never quite caused a riff, which is what he was trying to. And so I think he gave up on that idea early on.
Swan Queen costumes.
What's she doing here?
He made me your alternate.
Because just in case.
Tell us a little bit about where it all started for you. Mila Kunis, this is your life. We have people coming out. That door's going to open.
Can you imagine? I would literally have
here they are.
Like my second grade teacher comes walking in. I was born in Ukraine, 1983. I had an amazing upbringing, truly great. It was communist Russia, so you have one television channel. So the kids run outside. You don't really watch TV. You literally play all day long. I had an older brother. He's brilliant and smart. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, we all lived in Ukraine. We came here in 1991, and that's when I realized that I was poor. I didn't know I was poor until I met wealthy people in America.
They bring you here.
Yeah.
And how did they adjust to it? Did your mom or dad have a job waiting for
No.
them when they got here?
When we came to the States, you had to renounce everything, including your diplomas and everything. All your education was null and void once you got here. So, no, my parents came with not a single offering of a job, nothing. The day we arrived, the next day, I went straight to school. And I think, my dad started painting fences and delivering toilets and delivering pizzas and driving a cab and doing just about every job possible. My mom started working, mine just at the age of 40, started working as a boxing lady. Like she would undo the boxes at a Rite Aid or Thrifty at the time. So she worked the night shift to do all the merchandising. And then they worked their way up, but absolutely had no jobs. We had $250 for a family of 6. That's all we were allowed to bring. You weren't allowed to transfer money. You weren't allowed to bring your belongings. And that was that.
And you have no idea what this is. You would have been happy skipping around
I didn't know
in the
that.
Ukraine because you didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
And weren't miserable.
A 7-year-old doesn't need much.
No.
At all. Like you climb trees and you play sports and you get in trouble and you do, silly things. But no, listen, I came to the States. I'd never seen a black person before in my life. The first black person I saw was at the American Embassy in Moscow. That was the first time I ever met a black person. I was 7.5 years old.
And what questions did you ask about?
I started crying.
Crying?
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because
Who is this person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, being very polite and very sweet, asked my mother if he could explain to my parents. And so he explained to me that there were people, because from a small town in Ukraine, not having television, you just see what your environment is. And you see blondes and brunettes and maybe a redhead. And that's it. You don't know otherwise. And so it was, so he explained to me that there were people in this world that, some were black and there's Asian people and there's this and the other. And I, being 7, assumed that were there purple people, were there red people? Like it was genuine question. Like if there's a black person, are there green people?
Yeah.
And so he explained it to me.
But where, in what point during all this does somebody say, or you say, maybe those were your first words, I want to act
I
and
came
then
out of the
direct.
womb.
Yes, and then, maybe at 8,
Yeah.
since you got there at 7,
Yeah.
When do you decide, this English is nothing, I picked it up immediately, and now
Yeah.
there's like 200 channels, so
Yeah.
I think I should go on. When did that happen?
I was 9 years old.
Oh, it took all the way, it took 2 years, wow.
And I was taking a class on a Saturday. It was like an acting class. And it was like 4 hours on a Saturday. My parents were like, this would be good for her to meet other kids and learn English and that type of stuff. And so my mom wrote a check that was, I think, for $200. And at that point, I think we had $400 in our bank account. And my dad's like, no, we can't afford this. And he left the building. My mom wrote the check. And to this day, she goes, I don't know why I did it, but I did it. She wrote this check. I enrolled into this class. And a woman by the name of Susan Curtis was driving by, saw a bunch of kids, came in. Long story short, she's my manager to this day.
And then what is that first thing you do as a professional?
I did a Barbie commercial.
You went straight to Barbie. Were you Mila Kunis yet, or did you have
I was still,
a longer name?
No. No one ever called me Milena. Milena's like what my parents gave me because they always called me Mila. But my mom said it was too short to put on the birth certificate. So then they called me Milena, but no one's ever actually called me that, ever. So everyone's always called me Mila my whole life. Except for weird fans down the street who want to pretend like they know you, then they'll say my full name. And it always weirds me out. To this day, I'm like, what did you say? Lucille Ball is one thing. 70s, as great as it was, is no I Love Lucy. No, it just blends into one massive episode, all 8 years.